Reality cannot forever hold the pose that the mind calls perfection. And even if it could, there would be no enduring peace, for the mind's ideal would change when it grows jaded with the conditions that once defined it. Peace is never perfect when something is wanting. Thus, perfection as a goal for conditions, behavior, and thought is a path within unconsciousness and not out of it. Nothing can remain as is in the face of impermanence, and what is perceived as perfect is as changeful as the shifting of mental sands in which its definition was scribbled. What we think is perfect is subject to change because preferences are not necessarily static. Even written codes are weaseled with and worked around by their inheritors. They are meaningless movements, attempts to adhere to by willpower some invented standard, the keeping of which serves as a proxy for perfection, yields neuroses rather than peace. Peace is a worthy goal. The people who are easiest to be around are full of peace. Peace coincides with the appearance of enduring perfection, which is accepted rather than accomplished. Perfection can be recognized when the voice that calls for ever more or different is no longer unconsciously heeded as if it were the identity of what perceives it. In this absence of feeling like a thing relating to other things, feeling instead like what's aware of them, is a stillness that persists even when the inner and outer worlds are in constant motion. It is the stillness of knowing oneself as the space through which all these things move as a projection of divine will. Everything moves except the space in which it appears, which can go nowhere by virtue of always being everywhere. The space perceives what is projected into it, and in the case of what you take yourself to be, it is something appearing in a discrete projection into the astral based on sensory interpretation of the phenomenal world. That projection contains the believing, and until it doesn't, that projection will contain suffering. The mind is not stoppable, only the reaction to it, and that comes by right view, seeing it for what it is, which is dependently originated subtle phenomena and not the identity of what's perceiving the full scope of it, including the body and mind for which there is suffering. When a room gets quiet, every noise is more noticeable, as if the ear and the brain could increase their sensitivity to sounds by giving the same wattage to a pin drop as would be given to a party. In a similar way, it seems like we carry a certain weight of self-criticism, and its burden gets distributed across the various contexts in which we find ourselves lacking. So the pain of perceiving oneself as imperfect is constant, and given a certain amount of energy so long as the unconsciousness of body and mind identification persists. That weight of self-criticism either concentrates acutely within a few areas within a disciplined person, or more lightly but widespread in a person with many acknowledged shortcomings. When one goes from perceiving many shortcomings in oneself to perceiving few, those few get strong notice and bring proportional grievance. Be they many or few, the perception of imperfections will bring suffering so long as there is belief in being the things to which they relate, rather than only that which is aware of them, to which nothing can relate by virtue of the impossibility of awareness's appearance within awareness.